Welcome to another episode of the Flag Stays Down podcast. It's December. We don't talk about Chelsea edition. I think this time last year, maybe it was 2 years ago, we were talking World Cup because it was being played. Uh, was that Saudi? No, Qatar, right? Qatar was being played in. Uh, Maybe we'll do a little bit of that this month with all the World Cup news coming out. The draw, of course, this week. We'll talk about that today. But in the meantime, again, first week in December, boys, how we doing?
Home ownership sucks. Let me just start with that. So as I was telling you boys before we started here, I spent a good chunk of my day dealing with a water heater, only to find out that I'm going to need to replace it. So that was really a blast. Although the advantage to that is I now know how to flush a water tank, which I had never done before, which was probably an issue in the first place. Second of all, I have reached a new level of adulting. I am now the proud owner of two brand new shovels, and these shovels are fantastic. So, and they're heavy duty. Like I had to actually assemble the shovels with like bolts and everything. Like these are legitimate shovels. And so I got to test them out. I tested one out yesterday and I tested the other one out today. And oh, world of difference. We have snow coming overnight tonight, so I am super pumped to get out there tomorrow and shovel. That is the most Midwest adult thing I think I've ever said in my life. But that's how everything is going. So, you take your good with your bad. I'm super pumped about shovels, not thrilled about having to drop money on a water heater. But hey, here we are. Parks, how are you?
I got like nothing to talk about this week. It's been kind of a roller coaster just with work, daycare, and whatever. And so my nights have been like come home, make dinner, fall asleep on the couch, then go upstairs and get ready for bed. Collins, this is old man chat. This is old man chat on old man chat. I think the highlight of tonight was we got our tree up. Actually, probably the highlight of the weekend is something I didn't think would happen has happened, which is I got my wife addicted to ripping card packs, like Topps cards. So I bought a box at Costco and she's like, "This is really fun." I was like, "Yeah, it is." Let's keep doing this. So then I went to the card shop and bought a NBA Topps advent calendar. And so we had to catch up today. So we got to the sixth, and then she wanted to keep going. I was like, no, we gotta wait till tomorrow. Like I felt like the adult in the room. So dangerous hobby to get wifey hooked on. But at the card shop, I did buy a Topps Chrome Cole Palmer card. So start to add to the into the soccer edition. I do want to put some money into Esteval because I think his card value is gonna skyrocket. Anyone that listens to this is not financial advice, so don't follow me here. Quick disclaimer there. But yeah, man, it's been kind of fun to get into something with my wife like that. So all good here. Collins, how are you, man?
Yeah, I wouldn't invest in those Esteban cards. Him and Lamine Yamal definitely not going to be the new Messi and Ronaldo. Uh, Too young, too overhyped. I think is the summary of last week. No, all good. I'm happy to listen to the old man talk. You know, I'm 37 as of today. That's old. Um, yeah, just doing old man stuff here. Celebrating birthdays. Had a bunch of German food for dinner. Got up early, watched Chelsea. Let that ruin my morning. And had a bunch of vacation left this month, so I'm working 3 day work weeks for the next like 3 weeks. So um, welcome to old man. Flag stays down. Um,
I don't want to one up you, but
yeah,
as
no,
of
you're
as
you
of
and your damn 8 weeks of vacation.
Well, yeah, as of Thursday, I'm officially done with work for the year. Just want to call that out.
It's been the final episode of the Flag Stays Down podcast. Uh, all right. Well, I'm glad we all got nothing. It's a positive week. All right. Before we get into World Cup talk, let's talk a little bit of Chelsea, and that's our bets, our prop bets for the week. It was my week this week. And I said Cole Palmer set the line at 70 and a half minutes between the two matches, Leeds and Bournemouth. Surprisingly good line. I'm giving myself credit for that. He ended up playing 87 minutes between the two matches, 29 against Leeds, 58 against Bournemouth, according to who scored. So, boys, you take the dub this week. Both of you taking the over. I take the under. So, update our standings. I have 4 wins this year. Parker, you have 5. I'm sorry, Matt, you have 5. Parker, you have 7. Congratulations. But this week it is Parker's week to set a prop bet. I don't even know who we play. I don't care. It's up to you to choose whatever we're betting on this week.
Well, we play Atalanta and Everton in the week. My bet is going to not be settled next week. It'll be a prop that'll go a little bit longer. It's a December bet. I'm talking points
I'll take the under.
under 1 point in December. No,
I'm still taking the under.
so we played 2 Premier League games. We have 1 point. So just for your notes, Collins, we'll say excluding what we've played. So we've got Everton, Newcastle, Villa, Bournemouth. We have 4 matches in the Premier League. We've got a Champions League and we've got a EFL Cup quarterfinals, which I won't include in there. We're talking Premier League only, 4 matches, and I'm putting the over under at 4.5 points.
Over.
I don't like the fact that I don't have a same option. So kudos to you for putting me in that spot.
For figuring you out.
Premier League sanctions hit, and we're deducted a half a point.
I'm gonna take the under. And Collins, I see you just painfully trying to comprehend what I just said. So Newcastle right now is, I think, playing comparatively right now, they're playing better over the last, I would say, 2 matches. They're 2 or 3 matches they're playing better.
Yeah, we
Everton,
can't get much worse than us in 2
Everton,
matches.
Everton is always a problem because, and this is, I think, been historically noted on this podcast, Jordan Pickford decides to turn into the world's best keeper anytime we play him. Bournemouth, we just drew them. So who knows what that's going to look like. And Villa, I think, is currently in second, third. They've won what, 9 straight, something like that, or they're unbeaten in 9. They're kind of doing okay.
Yeah, they're doing all right.
And let's not forget, this is Chelsea in December. So I could see this being definitely an under.
I sure hope it's not. I'm taking the over, just so I cheer for it, just so I have something to hold my hat on and cheer for, because I can't do 2 more matches like the ones we watched this week, and the ones I watched this week, I should say, because it's fucking painful.
All right. Well, make sure to follow along. This one will be not next week, but by the end of the month. Find out how we did on this one. All right, boys, let's be done talking about Chelsea. It's time for the FIFA Club World Cup. Not Club World Cup, the World Cup. Sorry, I was thinking about Donald Trump doing the draw and also being in our Club World Cup celebration and having the trophy in his office. I don't know why my camera keeps zooming in and out on me, but it's really distracting me. Um,
The FIFA World Cup, also known as the JV version of the Club World Cup.
yes, absolutely. All right. So,
Collins, you can keep this in the podcast. Go to video settings and then the auto frame my video or one of those. It might be clicked on because there's like an autofocus thing. Yeah, there you go.
welcome to the flag stays old man. All right. The World Cup. We had the draw, of course, on Friday in Washington, D.C. Um, interesting draw, just from a show perspective. FIFA, of course, known for putting on a spectacle that they don't need to. Um, 2 hours of fluff for 30 seconds of actual action. A lot of celebrities in this one. CONCACAF celebrities. Um, I don't know. Did you guys watch?
I watched like 15 minutes of it, and it was cringeworthy to watch the interactions between Rio Ferdinand, Aaron Judge, and Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, you throw Shaq in there. Throw Trump in there.
Watching Gretzky try to pronounce some of the names of the countries was by far the most entertaining part of that entire thing.
I tuned in late and didn't know it was him. I thought he was some European person with the way he just couldn't pronounce things. It was weird. All right. Well, let's get into the groups because that's the important parts. Of course, we have the expanded World Cup this year, 48 teams. A lot of new faces, which is good. We'll get to some of those in a little bit here. Uh, we'll start out right out with the first match of the tournament. Group A, Mexico, South Africa, South Korea, and then UEFA Playoff D, which is Czech Republic, Republic of Ireland, Denmark, and North Macedonia, the winner of that bracket. So, any highlights from this group? Any surprises you think will come out of it? What do you make of Group A here?
I think that whoever wins that European playoff has a shot at winning the group, especially if you look at a team like Denmark. I I could see them easily, well, not easily, but I could see them taking a hold of that group and winning it. If you give me North Macedonia, that's a different question. But like Denmark and I think even Ireland to an extent, like the, the European teams in there should be somewhat worrisome for the rest of Group A because it's not a strong group. And Mexico has not always done predominantly well in the World Cup. So I think it's definitely a group that's open for everybody.
Yeah, I'm with you, Matt. I think that's well said, and so I don't need to add much to it. I just for the nostalgia and the feels, that first match of the 2010 World Cup, rerunning that back will just be kind of fun. Who knows if it'll be a good match. It was a great time in life to be in college, to be, watching it. So it'll be fun to turn that in. I think South Korea, I would pick them to come out alongside with the European playoff member. Uh, I I don't think Mexico is going to show well either. I just don't see them having anywhere near as good of a team as they've had in the past. And I I don't know. I think the fact that they're going to be on home soil is going to help them a lot. So I wouldn't be surprised if they got out, but they would be my first one to pick.
Yeah, this group, we talk a lot about the group of death or the easiest group. This is the group of big tournament disappointments. Mexico never shows up. South Africa is pretty renowned for when they do show up at a tournament, not doing well. Like that's kind of their calling card. South Korea has underperformed. They're consistently the strongest team in Asia and then get to the World Cup and get stomped. And then you look at those teams in the UEFA one. Czech Republic underperforms. Ireland underperforms. Denmark underperforms. North Macedonia wasn't even I mean, they had to rename their whole damn country about 5 years ago. Um, boy, this group sucks. But Parker, like you said, this one's the nostalgia group too. I just think of my shitty apartment in college. 3 o'clock in the afternoon after you and I get done with work, sitting on the couch, drinking warm beer out of a chugler, watching Mexico, South Africa, and being so mad that Mexico came back and won that game. Um, I'm hoping for
They
more.
win or did they draw? That was a
Oh,
draw.
came back to draw that game.
Yeah, yeah.
If I remember, it was Gio dos Santos scored
Yeah,
late
I
in
think,
that one.
yeah, that's right. Something like that.
Annoying.
They were the party poopers. Thanks, Martin Tyler.
Oh, God, forgot about that.
Yep. If you know, you know.
Oh, no. All right. Group B. Got another host in Canada. You got previous hosts, Qatar. You got Switzerland. And you have UEFA Playoff A, which is Wales, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Italy, and Northern Ireland. So we'll start with the playoff there. Who comes out of that playoff? I think there's one heavyweight in there.
You think?
Yeah, Bosnia.
Well, they're playing with two countries, so they're at an advantage already.
Can they play Trinidad and Tobago?
Uh, I think they'd have to expand it to what, 52 to allow those two teams
It'd be like
to allow
that
all those
that one
countries.
version of soccer where you got like four goals in opposite corners. Yeah, that's a great game.
I don't I don't know that Italy even makes it out. I don't have a lot of faith in Italy. It, like they've fallen off, I would say, equally as fast as Germany have. Like it was just a rapid just disappointment from such glory, and the fall from grace was just astronomical. Um, Collins, who are the other? Can you remind me who the other teams in that playoff are?
Wales, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Northern Ireland. We can rule out Northern Ireland, right?
Yeah.
So Italy in the final there.
Wales is always an interesting one because you don't know which team is going to show up. I don't think Gareth Bale is playing for Wales anymore. But I mean, they do have some legit players on that squad. I could see Wales making it to the group, and then I would put them as arguably the favorites to win that group if they come out of it. The only other team that would maybe have a shot to me would be Switzerland.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think the interesting thing is, does Canada have a chance to get out? And I I think it's tough. I don't see them being able to come out because I think Switzerland's getting out, and I feel like the European playoff cup winners coming out too. So it's gonna be they're gonna need to like lean on some homegrown support to like will them into from losing positions to draws or from draws to wins and see if they can, kind of put it off. But like I don't know, on paper it doesn't look good for them.
See, and there's a conspiracy going around that the CONCACAF teams, the hosts, basically are shoo-ins, right? They got easy draws to get into the knockouts, boost ratings. I think a disappointing Mexico gets out of Group A. I think a disappointing Canada, granted, probably the best Canadian team of our lifetimes, gets out of Group B. Even if Italy makes it, Switzerland is such a up and down team. Qatar is not going to do shit. I think Canada makes it through, especially playing a game. Let's see, Group B plays in Toronto, I think, possibly. Yeah, they play a game in Toronto and a game in Vancouver. Canada and a World Cup at home. They're going through.
But do Canadians care about soccer? Like, I think is a fair question to ask.
Women's soccer.
Sure.
I think if they don't play Italy, Toronto has a huge Italian population, and I could see almost like how Mexico USA played in Dallas is 70% Mexican fans. Italy, Canada, and Toronto would be an Italian home game. But the other two, I think Canada shows out for. All right, Group C, no CONCACAF host in this one, though there's a CONCACAF squad. Brazil, Esteban and Andre Santos, and João Pedro. Morocco, Hakim Ziyech. Haiti, couldn't tell you. Scotland, Adam. Boys, this one's pretty cut and dry, isn't it? Let me phrase it this way. Does Haiti secure a point in this group?
I could see it against Scotland. I think that would be a possibility. I I still have questions about Brazil. I still have questions about them. They, they have been underperforming for, I would say, close to pretty much since the last World Cup. Or actually since you could make the argument since the 7-1 ass kicking that they got against Germany. They have been an underperforming nation for years. Maybe this is the time when they, with this new crop of talent, that they finally get things right. But I still have a lot of question marks around Brazil. Do they have the individual talent? Absolutely. They're stacked when it comes to individual talent. Can they put it all together as a team? That's the biggest question for me. I think Morocco is the best team based on kind of their recent performances in cups and tournaments. I forgot what their FIFA ranking is, but I think they're top five. If I
8 or something like that.
Okay, so top 10. And they did very well in, was it the last World Cup? Did they take third? Am I thinking about that correctly? But in any event, like they can play. Um, so I definitely see Morocco, Brazil, again, if they can pull everything together, they should coast. And then Haiti and Scotland just kind of fall by the wayside.
See, I think this is one of the more interesting groups to watch because of some of the things you mentioned, Matt, but because I think Scotland's a fair team. Like they're not any pushover. I think they've got a legitimate shot to come out of the group. Like they have definitely a fighter's chance of getting out. So I wouldn't rule them out. I rule Haiti out, but I wouldn't rule them out. And I think, if you think about the group stage matches, Brazil has the ability to drop points as well. So if they drop points to a Scotland, like Scotland could definitely find their way through that group and kind of survive. But I don't have the same question marks around Brazil. I think this Brazil team is primed to do good things, not great things. I don't think they're a Final Four team this year, but I think they're a relatively deep team. Um, One reason is Carlo Ancelotti. Like I think their manager is going to have a good handle on kind of getting these kids, we can call them kids, through this. And I think like throughout qualifying for the World Cup, they've been pretty much dismantling teams. So I see them as kind of like Chelsea. They're dangerous when they're on and going to be a little bit up and down, but definitely have the ability to string some matches together. So I'm excited for this group more than some of the other groups. I think it's going to be an interesting one to watch.
Well, I'll answer my own question about Haiti. I think they pick up a win. Here's their schedule. They open against Scotland in Foxborough. Then then it's Brazil in Philadelphia, and then Morocco and Atlanta. Atlanta, you're going to have a lot more Haitians in Atlanta than you are in Philadelphia or Foxborough. Morocco at that point, if Scotland is the team that we think that they could be, right? Could be a surprise team. Morocco could be fighting to make it in. Keep in mind this year, third place teams, it's like a certain amount of them will move on to the knockouts. Morocco could be fighting for points. They could be fighting for goals. They could be fighting for whatever. Haiti's gonna have nothing to lose at that point. I don't think they beat Brazil, and I don't think they beat Scotland on the opening day. I think Morocco, who is aging, this is probably their last hurrah as a good team. Their team is pretty much all in their early to mid 30s. With the heat in America, the amount of travel, Haiti's got that CONCACAF to them. I could see them picking up a big 3 points in Atlanta to send Morocco home. But before we go to the next group, Brazil, we all seem to be a little up and down on them. They have potential. They've choked the last couple World Cups. What is an acceptable finish for Brazil?
Top 8.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I think top 8. I think top 4 is way too ambitious for
They're
how good
fifth.
they have.
They're fifth in the world. And I know that FIFA rankings don't mean shit for this tournament, but I think getting to the top 4 would be a win for them. So acceptable would be top 8.
And I'm going to take it a step further. I think they get to the top 4. I think losing in the third place game is unacceptable, but making that semifinals was a good finish for them. All right, Group D, we're back to the hosts. We're back to us, United States of America. Donald Trump using some of that tariff money to pay off Gianni Infantino to get us a good draw. We got Paraguay. We got Australia without Tim Cahill. And we have UEFA bracket C, Slovakia, Kosovo, Turkey, and Romania. This is the group of hello.
Collins, why don't you start us off on this one?
This is the group of suck. this is the worst group in the entire bracket. And I know there's some bad ones. Paraguay is average. Australia looks good because they beat up on shitty Oceania teams and then they play some shitty Asian teams. UEFA Group C, Slovakia doesn't do anything. Kosovo doesn't do anything. Turkey is probably the best team there. And Romania is a bunch of gypsies. Sorry, I just watched Peaky Blinders. That's on the top of my mind. Shout out to all the Romanians out there.
All of our gypsy listeners just clicked off.
No, be proud. Be proud.
Watch those stats that you sent us just take a huge hit after that one.
Oh yeah, shit. We got some listeners in Turkey. Go Turkey. All right. Um, all right. No one listens to our podcast. The Potch hater in me wants to say we will choke out of this group. I think Turkey gets in. I think Paraguay gets in. And I think we sit in third place after a disappointing draw to Australia and probably just squeak through on goal differential or some crazy thing so that we make the knockouts. I don't know where my love of American soccer went. It went out the door a long time ago. Pochettino solidified that. It's a crappy team. It's a crappy run organization, and they're playing in a crappy group that they will struggle in.
I see it
Interesting.
I see it as a scenario of, this is a group where you are going to play to the level of your competition. I could see us losing to Paraguay easily. Like I could see it. Australia, is Timmy Cahill still playing? Or is he like 47? He still might be their only striker. Like, I don't know much about Australia. I know it's obviously not a powerhouse, but again, some of these teams, maybe give them a puncher's chance against a very unstable U.S. men's national team, with or without Christian Pulisic. Who knows at this point? I and European teams always give us problems. I could see us finishing third and maybe not having a chance to even qualify or to get to the playoff. That's a realistic possibility. So I think that's what Collins is hoping for. So he can watch Pochettino get sacked yet again. I think that's really his only driving force for the U.S. finishing third is to watch Pochettino get sacked. In any event, on paper, the U.S. should comfortably get out of this group. In reality, I think it's going to be more of a struggle than people actually think.
I think it's going to be a fight, but it's the World Cup. Like, not many teams have the luxury of kind of cakewalking their way through groups. So I think the US, yeah, we've been building a team, and I know it's kind of some of the stars kind of lead that charge for it, but I think this team is more than just like those headline names, and I think watching some of like the other matches, you start to kind of get a sense of people fighting to get in this team and not necessarily just be given spots on the team. So I'm excited to watch this US team. I think eh, what's tough is like I think they've done better than expectations were in the past couple of World Cups. So if they kind of get back to that spot and don't exceed it, people are going to look at it as a failure. Whereas it's a tough game. It's a tough sport, and we are not, a global domination force in this sport. So I think the U.S. gets out of their group. If I put money down today, I'd pick them to win the group. And who else? I'm not sure. It's probably Paraguay if I had to guess at who else comes out of it. But um, I think the U.S. does a lot of good, and I think having the U.S. soccer kind of back it and be able to cheer on the team will help. Um, I think playing on home soil has always helped this team. So uh, I'm less pessimistic than you guys are.
So just a couple interesting things about the U.S. I wanted to share. This is a very West Coast dominant group playing in SoFi Stadium, BC Place in Vancouver, Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, and Lumen Field in Seattle. The U.S. plays twice at SoFi Stadium, match day 1 and match day 3. The U.S. men's national team over the last 20 years, 9, 6, and 7 in the city of Los Angeles. I know they don't get to choose where they play in a World Cup, but Los Angeles wouldn't have been it for me. The other thing is not U.S. men's national team related, but more U.S. sports related. I don't know if you guys saw, but the World Cup, or not the World Cup, the Olympics is coming up, Winter Olympics. Do you see who NBC chose as the like celebrity ambassador of the U.S. team? Dua Lipa, the Albanian Englishwoman. BP is also the primary sponsor of the U.S. Olympic team. Makes no sense. Seems like U.S. soccer is running that. But anyways, what do we got next? What do we got? Group E?
Group E.
This is a fun group. I really want to get your guys' take on it because there's a million different possibilities. If you're into Marvel and you're watching What If, this is your multiple universes right here. Germany, Curacao, Ivory Coast, Ecuador. And by the way, this group is played all over the fucking continent. Houston, Philadelphia, Toronto, Kansas City, New York City.
Curacao, I think we can give them their participation trophy.
Group winner.
So I think the big question again for me is, does Germany show up? If they do, they should handle it. The Ivory Coast is always a solid team, but we've seen a lot of African nations that are good and should have a legitimate shot not show up in big moments. So that makes it a little bit scary when you look at a team like the Ivory Coast, who historically has had some very solid teams, but not necessarily reach the outcomes that they would have hoped for. Ecuador, obviously we all got love for Caicedo. I don't know how strong that overall Ecuadorian team is, but it's they're one of those kind of wild card teams where you don't necessarily know what you're going to get. You have a few high profile players. But other than that, it's kind of a crapshoot. It reminds me of Morocco in the last World Cup, right? Like, yeah, you had Ziyech, you had Hakimi. Those are your two main guys. Everybody else you kind of didn't really know, but then they somehow still managed to get third. That's what Ecuador kind of seems like to me. But yeah, it could go a number of different ways. I think if things go as they should on paper, I think Germany wins the group. And then either Ecuador or Ivory Coast, that one's a 50-50 to me. I don't know which one to pick. Flip a coin.
Yeah, my deciding vote for who wins that, Matt, is I just base it off of Confederation a little bit, where I think Africa or AFCON has just fallen in general, especially since like the three of us have been fans, where it felt like, teams like Nigeria, teams like Ivory Coast, they just were better. Like Egypt with Mo, and South Africa had a fighter's chance in games. Like it just felt like there was not just bigger names though, it's bigger names, but more competitive AFCON teams on a global stage. Whereas Cotton Ball has produced kind of consistently, and Ecuador being there, like I just I tend to trust that more than I trust AFCON. So and the other thing that's going to be interesting is to see how people deal with some of the jet lag and some of the faraway travel. Ecuador being in a similar time zone, I think is going to help them at least in the interim. But I don't know. I don't know how big of a deciding factor that's going to be. I think Germany takes this one either one or two pretty handily. And then Ecuador kind of slots in by them.
Yeah, that's a good point on the time zones. Like I said, that this group travels all over, central, east coast, northern climates, southern climates. Uh, and the more I think about it, the more I think these Cannonball teams and these CONCACAF teams have an advantage. They may not be the most talented teams, um, but they are used to A, playing in America, and B, the amount of travel, right? Europe, it's like you travel 3 hours and you're in, you pass three countries. Um, I mean, God, Parker, I was looking at driving to Denver and 15 hours and I only passed like four states. So the amount of travel in this country is crazy, and it's going to take some getting used to for a lot of these teams for sure. Uh, but I don't think Germany wins it, and I think that's the exact reason. Germany has to travel from Houston to Toronto to New York City. That's a lot, and it's a lot of climate change at completely different stadiums. NRG Stadium in Houston is turf. BMO Field is outdoor.
I was going to ask you about that because I couldn't remember what they landed on. I didn't think you were allowed to have turf.
Oh, maybe it's not.
No, it very well could be turf. To when people were bidding at stadiums, um, they had to confirm, I believe this is by memory a couple of years ago. I believe they had to confirm that they would switch out to grass if they got the bid.
Yeah, there's something on that. I can't remember exactly what it is. That's a good point. Um, but I guess to my point, and we'll have more info as we get more info on it as we get closer to the tournament. Um, you know, NRG is indoors, right, in a dome, climate controlled. Houston's gonna be 100 degrees in June with 100% humidity. Then you're going to Toronto, where it might be 70 degrees there, right on the lake. You're getting a lake breeze, and then you're going to New York City, and that's a lot for Germany, especially Germans who are very on schedule, right? It needs to be precise. I think Ecuador wins this group. I'm looking at who Ecuador can pull from here, and they may not. They're not going to win it this year, but this is the beginning of a run. This is the beginning of a Belgium run for them. Um, Piero Hincapi in defense, Christian Ramirez in defense, Moises Caicedo, Kendry Paez, Gonzalo Plata, John Yaboa, um, Kevin Rodriguez. They still have Enner Valencia available, Brian Ramirez still available. They've got some good young talent and some players. You especially look at Caicedo, who is maybe the best number six in the world. And then you look at Fabrizio Romano's post this week, and it's like 12 teenage Ecuadorians have been signed this week by big clubs. Arsenal just signed two. We're on the verge of signing another. Bunch of Italian teams are signing them. Ecuador's on the way up, and I could see them winning this group.
I did just look it up. You had to install natural grass, or you have to install natural grass if you're at turf stadium.
Fair enough. All right, so that's not going to play an issue then. Climate. I'm going to go with climate. That's what.
I think the climate's going to be a big deal. And I know most of the United States is hot or hotter in the summer. It doesn't really matter where you go, but there are different kinds of hot. And Houston's a different breed of hot than New York City is. And New York City in the summer is more volatile. You can get kind of torrential downpour days, and you can get cloudy days, and you can get very hot, weird city mugginess.
All right, here's my favorite group. Group F. You have a playoff in there. So you have the winner of, and this is my favorite, Ukraine, Poland, Albania, and Sweden. That is a great playoff right there. I would watch a World Cup group of just those four teams. But the winner of that will play in a group with the Netherlands, Japan, and Tunisia. And listen to these sites they play in: Jerry World in Arlington, Estadio BBVA in Guadalupe, home of Leon, NRG Stadium in Houston, and Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Climate is not an issue in this one. Those are all very similar, and I think they're all central time zone. Um, so, with that being said, in what I think is a very even group, who comes out in this one?
I don't even know where to start. So I think Netherlands is the clear-cut favorite. I think we can all reasonably agree on that. After that, whew, um, I mean, to me, the big thing is who comes out of that European qualifier. Sweden can cause problems. Poland, I think, to a lesser degree. You have an aging Lewandowski. They don't really have the same kind of firepower or even star power that they had 8 years ago. Um, but at the end of the day, everything rests on Lewandowski. And if Chesney is in goal or smoking in the boys' room, um, so they're kind of up in the air. Mudryk, I wish is he playing for Ukraine? Is he eligible to play in the World Cup?
No idea. I was just trying to look it up.
Uh, I mean, Ukraine again I see them as a team that could cause problems. Tunisia, I don't know enough about. I don't remember the last time I heard about the last Tunisian superstar, so I don't see them as a huge threat. But Japan for me is always a team that is going to cause a lot of problems because I don't think they necessarily get the same level of respect as, other teams. Yes, they do play in what is
Oceanic.
the Oceanic. So, yeah, they don't play like a lot of great competition, but they are a team that always is in the mix, right? We look at, was it the last World Cup or was it two ago where they had that ball that may or may not have gone out of bounds against Spain. And if you remember, I think it was on the last day where it was like Germany, Spain, and Japan were switching like every 3 minutes. And a team would be either top of the group or they would fall to last place in the group. It was crazy. But Japan was in the middle of that. So I see them as, Collins, you'll appreciate this reference. I see Japan as the chaos team in this group.
Can I place an early prop bet on that one on Japan?
Sure.
The average number of times, because I think he's going to be shown. Okay, yeah, well, we'll say if he shows up at one game, how many times is Shohei Ohtani shown on the screen during a Japan game? I'm going to place it at 3.5. I think he gets the Taylor Swift treatment.
I'll take the over because it is going to be American broadcasting. So I will definitely take the over. And
If we're talking,
and it's Fox, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You could have said it at 9.5, and I would still take the over.
I think if we're talking in the 90 minutes of game time or like the 2 hours, but game going on, it would probably be under, but in the lead up, it's going to be all over it. It's going to just be an insane amount. So
He's going to be in the dressing room. He's going to be meeting with players outside. Yeah. Oh yeah. He's
so
be
it's
everywhere.
it's it's an easy over for me.
All right, well, I'll take the over two. Good thing it's not an official prop bet. I don't know if you knew this because Netherlands is another team like Germany that has fallen off a little bit, but is still good enough, right, to get through. Netherlands is unbeaten in their last 12 matches, and that goes back to 2024. That's pretty darn good. They've got some good young players coming up. We got future Chelsea striker Manuel Ermeger going to be leading the line. Uh, Tottenham called and he answered. Travis Siemens will be in that squad. He scored for Tottenham today. Uh, I think Netherlands runs away with this group. I like Sweden to come out of the playoff and come out and take second in this one. Alexander Isak, man, I was just looking at their roster too, and they got some low key good players in there. I wish Zlatan was still in there, but he's not. Rooney Bardghji from Barcelona, winger. Emil Kraft from Newcastle. You got Emil Forsberg, who plays for New York Red Bulls. You got guys from Dortmund. You got guys from the Premier League. Um, Sweden, I think, is a team that's slept on. Absolutely. So I could see those two teams coming through. And maybe that's my European bias, but Sweden's got a nice little roster.
I'm picking Poland to come out of the qualifier and qualify alongside the Netherlands.
Is this Lewandowski's last World Cup then?
At 37 years old, yes.
I'll ask that question a few more times as we go through this podcast. We are about halfway through groups here. Boys, do we want to make this a two-parter or do we want to keep going?
We can keep going.
Yeah.
All right. Group G, Belgium, Egypt, Iran, New Zealand. I don't know in this group. I think this one's pretty clear cut. What do you guys think?
I think Belgium and isn't Iran like top 10 too?
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
Is it Mo Salah's last World Cup? Do you think that plays a part in it?
Yeah, but I don't think he's 33. I don't think he's going to be able to carry Egypt like he has before. I'll take Belgium and Iran.
Iran's the 20th ranked team, and Egypt is like 34, it looks like. Yeah. So Iran would be the favorite to join Belgium. Just for fun, I'm gonna pick Egypt. For not much to go off of. I don't know much about Iran or Egypt, to be honest with you. Belgium, it's going to be really interesting to see how deep they go into this World Cup. This is probably their last of the golden generation for them, which will probably be considered a failure considering how high of expectations were put on that generation.
All right. Well, I agree this is all clear cut, and I like that point, and I want to touch on that. If the US, this is supposed to be our golden generation, we look back 20 years from now, has a similar run to what Belgium had, consider this their last real chance at a quarterfinal, we'll say. Is that a successful golden generation for the US?
If they make the quarterfinals,
No, if they match what Belgium has done over the last 15, 20 years. Same results, right? Couple third place finishes, semifinals, good but not great. Is that a successful U.S. golden generation?
I think so, just because of Belgium had expectations of winning a World Cup. Like that's how high their expectations were. And they didn't get there, but they've had much more success on a global standard than the US has. Now you can laugh at this because Belgium's a tiny country with not many people, and the US is a monster country, and you can just look at the amount of talent you can choose from and make the argument that you should absolutely strive to be better than a Belgium. But to my earlier point, we're not. We're not a global dominance in the sport. Neither is Belgium, but they're a lot closer to it than we are.
Uh, to say that this is our golden generation, I think is a joke. Like, is it the best collection of talent? Maybe, but like we still have I think we're getting better with our youth than we have previously. I think we're trending the right way. And yes, we did have some standouts come through, right? Pulisic, McKennie, Tyler Adams. Like some of these guys are still going to be around for a while, right? Like you look at Yunus Mensah, Gio Reyna, like they're still going to be around for a while. Pulisic is still going to be around for a little bit. And we have more young talent, I think, coming through and starting to show out a little bit more. I don't know that we've hit the golden generation yet. I think we've hit a point where, based on the individuals that we have and the expectations for those individuals, they're also put on the team. Fair or unfair, I think even with this talent, nobody expects the US to win a World Cup. Like, yes, fine, as analysts, they might say that, but that's their job, right? Is to boost interest. I don't think anybody had a realistic thought that the US would have a chance to win a World Cup with the golden generation. I never saw it as a realistic possibility looking at world football.
All right, here's my next hot take of the day. Matt is just Nick Wright in disguise. I mean, it's the hair, it's the beard, and it's the anything the media says they're wrong. That's what I'm learning the last couple of weeks. You can't talk about Esteval or Lamine Yamal. You can't say the U.S. is a golden generation. Stop talking about that.
It's only a golden generation because a lot of these guys, this will be their third cup playing together. And you don't really get a crop of players that play in three World Cups kind of together. So it's obviously highlighted by Pulisic and McKennie and Adams, probably, right? But otherwise, like golden generation or best generation, I'm not sure. Who knows? I like Dempsey.
All right, Group H, I think we're good to skip over. It's Spain, Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia, Uruguay. I think we know what team is going home. I think we know what team is finishing third. Probably two Spanish speaking countries, first and second. Agreed? All
I'm
right.
okay with that.
Group I, though, is interesting. I like this one too. This one is a non European playoff getting into it. It's the FIFA World Cup playoff. Bolivia plays Suriname. It's going to be a great game. And the winner of that plays Iraq in, in Mexico. Um, so, anyways, if you win all that, you get to play in a group of France, Senegal, and Norway. Is it worth even playing this playoff?
Parks, thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Probably not. Um, it's one of those groups where the other three teams feel like they're head and shoulders above. Um, with Senegal and I think it's going to be a great group just because I think Senegal and Norway are going to fight for second, third. Um, with my guess, France having a fairly easy run there. But yeah, I'm not sure who gets out of that. The Iraq versus Bolivia and Suriname. Like I'm not sure who comes out of that.
Senegal has been down for a little bit. Like they've been good, but down, right? Edward Mendy, of course, has been there for a while. Um, but they're starting to get some nice pieces. They're starting to get some recognition. Sadio Mane doesn't have to carry the team as much as he did anymore. And I think in this group, you're going to see the true next Messi versus Ronaldo battle, right? You got Kylian Mbappe with France. And on the other side of the bracket, you have one of the world's best strikers, Nicholas Jackson.
Well played, sir.
Matt's look of disgust is
Mm-hmm.
makes my night. Matt, what do you think about this group?
Prop bet. Nicholas Jackson gets red carded in the first match.
Over. Happens in qualifying. He doesn't play in the first match.
Technicality.
So I like Senegal more than I do Norway. Mainly for the same reason why I would like a Ukraine or a Sweden over Poland. Norway is reliant on one person. We all know who that person is. Senegal has at least more pieces, and I think a better team dynamic, than Norway. If Holland doesn't score, who does? Just like Poland, if Lewandowski doesn't score, who does? I think there's too much riding on that. I think Senegal takes second and Norway takes third.
All right. Group J, which is it's funny to watch them all lined up. And this might be the nice KU National Championship bourbon here, but it looks like Group A. It's Argentina, Algeria, Austria, and Jordan. Couldn't put another A team in there for me. All right. So we got Messi and Enzo Fernandez, the reigning champions. Probably going to make it out of this group, I would assume. Algeria, okay. Austria, okay. Jordan, don't know anything about them. So between Algeria and Austria, who's making it out of the A's?
Yeah, this one's after Argentina. I feel like it's a complete crapshoot. Uh, you could literally just randomize the next three spots for me. I don't know much about Jordan, but it doesn't seem like there's that big of a gap between those three. All coming from different parts of the world or eastern part of the world. Couldn't tell you. It's going to be who shows up on the day. That's going to be who comes out of that group along with Argentina. I think this is one of the easiest or most comfortable groups for a team like Argentina.
I'll take Austria a second. Like they have nice pieces and they have some somewhat, known players on that team. Obviously, David Alaba is the one that stands out, right? But if you kind of look at their squad, Marco Arnautovic, he's there. Marcel Sabitzer, like they have some good pieces. So I think that they're gonna, I don't want to say coast, but I have more faith in them to do well in this group than I do any of the other two teams that they're going to be going up against.
And I have a soft spot for Algeria just because they're kind of France's B team. You know, a lot of dual nationals between those two nations, and I think there's talent there. I don't trust Austria enough. Um, it's a crapshoot, but I'd go out Algeria second in that one. All right, Group K, which is a weird one. This is a very weird group. Portugal, Uzbekistan, Colombia, and listen to this playoff. First of all, they're playing at the home of Chivas, uh, Estadio Akron, New Caledonia from CONCACAF, or no, sorry, from Oceania, Jamaica from CONCACAF. If you win that, you get to play the Democratic Republic of Congo. I will say I'm excited to watch this one because I enjoy watching, the World Baseball Classic, right? That's one of my favorite things. It's every 4 years, it's the World Cup of baseball. And their qualifiers, because baseball is not necessarily played to the level that soccer is all across the world, is hey, here's a bunch of plumbers from the Czech Republic playing against a bunch of semi-pro guys from Yemen. Like everybody's just so excited to be there, and you can see the passion, and that's what this playoff is going to be. I don't know anything about New Caledonia. I didn't know where it was until I thought it was in CONCACAF. Until I just looked it up right now. No, they're in Oceania. Jamaica, there's always rumors that they could be putting together a fun team. So many dual nationals with England. Um, and then Democratic Republic of Congo, who the hell knows? It's a fun group. It's going to be fun to watch. The rest of the group is a crapshoot. I'm going to go Portugal, Colombia, though. I don't think anybody else has a chance in this one.
I was going to say after those two, it's a pretty steep fall off. I think those two are going to fight it out for the win.
To me, it seems like the script writers of the FIFA World Cup are doing everything they can to push Ronaldo and Messi. If you look at the group that Argentina is in and the group that Portugal is in, these are cakewalk groups. Absolute cakewalk groups. They're gonna, I would be shocked if either team drops points.
So one possible Chelsea connection in Uzbekistan. We'll see if he even plays because he has to play a qualifier, but he's been tearing it up at the club level. Dastan Satpayev. He is a 17-year-old we have a pre-contract with. Just recently scored in the Champions League a couple weeks ago. But Uzbekistan national, rumor of him being possibly called up in this one. So may get to see a little bit of him in this tournament. Finally, what I think is your group of death, Group L. England, Croatia, we gonna win, and Panama. Boys, have at it.
Which England do you get? Which one shows up? The one of late that like has been the bridesmaid, not the bride, or the World Cup England that has always kind of underperformed. Um, Look, it's going to be hard to argue against England getting out just because then we look at them, look at their team. It's insane. Um, they also have a very, very solid, maybe not as good as Mauricio Pochettino, but very solid manager there as well, and Thomas Tuchel. So um, I like Tuchel. I like the way he kind of man manages, and in a team that's got a lot of personality, it's going to take some man managing. So I think he's got the ability to kind of bring his German calm to that squad and hopefully get them over the hump. Um, for me, it's going to be hard to argue against England and Croatia, but I don't know. Panama's got a shot to come out of there as well. I think it's a tough group, and it's going to be a fun one to watch. And I think you can't completely rule Ghana out either. So I know that they kind of they're definitely the last place in the group by a considerable margin, but we'll see what happens. So if they can steal some points from somebody, it might be the the reason someone goes home early.
I'm excited for this group. So, Parker, excellent point about England, right? Which version are you going to get? The Croatia we know is an aging Croatia. Um, they're kind of in their last hurrah. Obviously, a lot of things are dependent or are driven by Luka Modric, right? Like he is kind of the engine of that team. He's almost 40, 38, something like that. So he's up there. Like, do they have pieces that can hold it together? Yeah, but how much Modric is able to actually play and what he can do, I think that's going to determine a lot. Panama and Ghana, they're going to make it a street fight. Like you talk about teams that play with finesse and and with style. Then you have teams that they will just turn it into a barroom brawl and see what happens. That to me is Panama and Ghana. I'm excited to see what happens with those teams when they play, these elegant and more, I would say, polished teams like in England or Croatia. Like th throw the sports out the window. Like we're gonna get into it and let's see what happens. I'm here for it. That is going to be the group that I'm probably going to be watching the most out of any in the World Cup.
Yeah, I think Panama is one of the most CONCACAF teams that you can run into. Um, I am disappointed looking at the venues that they play twice in Toronto. Like you, I know that they're the 4 seed in this group, but you couldn't put them anywhere further south. I think there are other games in New York, which might be okay. Um, I could see Panama sneaking into third in this one. I could see Ghana going home. Croatia and England are too strong. They're going through. England's problem is never the group stage; it's always the knockouts. So Thomas Tuchel's a great manager. He's great in cup tournaments. I think they get far. I don't think they win it though. But this group will be an interesting tell, and especially with Croatia too, who is almost like Belgium, where they are towards the end of their competitive window, if not already on the other side of their competitive window. Um, Luka Modric, this should be, please tell me, his last World Cup, right? I mean, the guy's like 87 years old. Yeah, England, Croatia, Panama is what I'm taking out of this one.
Matt, I'm surprised your boy Mateo Kovacic didn't get a shout.
I wanted to, but I didn't want to deal with my other co-host on this whole thing. So
Yeah, Parker, you dick.
That's what I do. I was just looking at Croatia's lineup just to see if I recognize anyone else, and they've got Gardeval as well as a defender. So
Former Chelsea man Mario Pasalic, one of my favorite Cobham midfielders coming up. God, he's been in Serie A now for probably a decade.
is the world's best center back also a part of that squad? Dejan Lovren, the self-pronounced world's best center back.
No, but one of my favorites, Duhe Kaleta Carr. Yeah, I don't know how Croatia does it. Props to them. Every World Cup, they are there with a bunch of people I've never heard of.
There's something to be said about some of those smaller country teams where it feels like because they play together and they've got strong kind of academy and bringing people through and bringing people up that no matter what team a Croatia shows up with, it always seems to perform relatively well. They're never winning it and they're never, like getting out in the group stage. It's just always kind of that consistent feel from them.
All right, so boys, this is going to be a near 40-day tournament, June 11th through July 19th. A lot of travel, a lot of change in altitude, a lot of change in weather. Um, I think this is going to be some real wear and tear in this one. Uh, but your early prediction, who wins the 2026 World Cup?
Who do I want to win?
Who do you want, and who's the most realistic?
No, I'll pick sort of the team that I cheer for when the United States isn't playing, which is typically France.
Collins.
I've got narrowed down to a couple. Brazil, I think, has a chance. Netherlands would be my sleeper. Spain being the other one. But I think the script is written, boys. All the political, I'm not turning this into a political podcast, all the political turmoil in this country, and the US just needs a win. So who's gonna lift the golden trophy in New York City? Mexico.
I was thinking you were going to say Canada.
They're
Somalia.
gonna say they're gonna say Russia.
Hello, we are in the playoff too.
Putin comes and lifts the trophy. Like
That'd be awesome.
Grabs it, gets onto a helicopter, flies away.
who you got, Matt?
So I think the odds-on favorite to me is France. Um, I see Spain as a potential, um, and England. I think that England finally has the right manager in place. Um, and the thing with Tuchel, right? If we look back at with Chelsea, like at the end of the day, I think the message kind of got old, right? The same message, the same mentality. I think it just kind of got old. You don't have you don't necessarily run that risk with a national team because you don't see them as often. You're not seeing them day in and day out. And Tuchel has dealt with some of these players before. So it's not there's a lot of familiarity there. I'm gonna actually take England in this. I think that they have everything they need from a personnel standpoint. I think last World Cup, Gareth Southgate was a terrible choice of manager. Um, and I think now they have the right person in place, a very no nonsense, a guy who has a history of winning. Um, I like England's chances more than I have in the past. So
And
go ahead.
sorry, I was gonna say, keep in mind, Harry Kane is literally just scoring goals for fun. And I know it's in the Bundesliga, you can say it all day, but guess what? There's gonna be worse teams that he goes up against in the World Cup than Bundesliga competition. Harry Kane is about as inform of a striker as the world has today. Like if the World Cup started today, he'd be my pick to win the Golden Boot. Like he's got to be. So, yeah, in a sport where you need goals to win, Harry Kane's damn near one of the best.
All right, to close things out, I want to bring in a guest picker, somebody who's been watching a lot of footy over the last couple of years. It's Mr. Aiden.
Hello,
Woo!
What up?
Aiden, who's winning the World Cup?
Germany by far.
Why?
I don't know. I've just grown up a Germany fan. I like their squad.
It's because we went out for German dinner tonight.
Yeah, that's it.
Who's your favorite German player?
I don't even know who they have on their squad this year.
Expert analysis.
That's a confident
So,
pick. I like it. But there was no hesitation behind that. It was a very just Germany. No hesitation, all about it. Love the confidence.
What I'm hoping for is like I hope Verts just like tears it up in the World Cup, and all the Liverpool fans are like, "That's that's who we signed. Why didn't you do that for us? Like, come on, man."
oh, you mean Kai Havertz? We've talked
Ah,
about that for forever. One team that we haven't really talked about at all. Thank you, Aiden. That I'm surprised by it, and just real quick, want to touch on them is the reigning champions, Argentina. Not even a sniff from any of us of being in this as a contender. Why?
I think it's uncertain what Leo's role is if he's even playing. I think that's the main one for me. I mean, Argentina got close a couple of times. Messi got his swan song. He got to do it. He got to lift the trophy. I think as the defending champs, it's very, very, very difficult to do it again. Not just because it's a global sport. It's just it's hard to repeat in anything. And I mean, it's a dogfight. So when your star is at the age that he is, it's just tough for me to see it. Messi was still playing. I think he was still playing in Europe when he won it last, right? So
I think he
Messi's
was with
still,
PSG.
I think so, right? So a PSG Messi, and obviously he's been doing well for Inter Miami, but who cares, right? So I that's why they've fallen off the radar for me.
Yeah, the, the whole question around Messi, and Parker, you said it brilliantly. Like, what's his role? Is this going to be something where he's just going to come on to make appearances for the ratings, or is he going to still be the focal point of this Argentina team? Because if that's the case, I don't see them making the final. I don't see them making the semifinals if that's the case. If they can adapt to life without Messi, and maybe this is going to be our first glimpse of this Argentina squad without Messi or with him in a very limited capacity, I'm okay with this being kind of a trial run for them. Like, and so I'm fine with not having them up high or maybe even making the semifinals. They might not even crack the top eight, right? Like, there's so much dependent on one person and what that one person is or is not going to do. Do they have a lot of good talent? Yes, they do. What's the dynamic of the team going to be, and what's the actual goal going to be? Is it to win the World Cup, or is it going to be so focused on Messi and what he's doing in his last World Cup that it takes away from everything? I see both sides of it.
All right. Well, if you did enjoy what you listened to tonight, or whenever you listen to it, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review. Check us out on social media at FlagDownPod. Boys, I'm going to leave you with a closing thought this week. Looking at Argentina's most recent roster, Alexis McAllister does have a brother, a center back who plays in Belgium. His name is Kevin McAllister.
Yes.
Fun fact, Kevin McAllister was named after the main protagonist of Home Alone, a fact that he did not find out until he was 18 years old. Cheers till next week, boys.
Later, boys.
See ya.